Hello, this is Thought for the Day for Friday the 16th of October, and today we're looking at Psalm 13. How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts and every day have sorrow in my heart? How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look on me and answer, Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death, and my enemy will say, I have overcome him, and my foes will rejoice when I fall. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, because he has been good to me. This psalm seems to hit the nail on the head straight away. How long, Lord? How many times have you heard yourself saying that over these last 7 months? How long? With yesterday's news about London, where 2 of our children live, becoming a 2-tier COVID area, I said it again yesterday. How long? Apart from the pandemic, there are all sorts of other issues that make us ask that question. What do you say, how long about? How long will my child keep driving me up the wall? How long will I have to put up with that person at work or my neighbour playing loud music? How long will I have to suffer with this health problem? But I wonder if we ever say the same as David. How long must I wrestle with my thoughts and every day have sorrow in my heart? How many of us wrestle with our thoughts, or at least will admit that we wrestle with our thoughts? As we've looked at the Psalms, we've seen David wrestling with all sorts of problems. Physical enemies, a king who wanted him dead, a supposed friend who betrayed him, and various injustices. In today's psalm, though, his struggle is much closer to home. His very thoughts. It's as if he's struggling with himself. What does it mean to wrestle with your thoughts? Maybe part of it is thinking and believing things that either aren't true or aren't helpful, and trying to overcome those thoughts. I wonder if any of these sound familiar. I'll never be any good at anything. People would be better off without me. Nobody cares. I could disappear and nobody would notice. God's forgotten about me, which is the one David seems to be thinking. I guess it could be the opposite kind of thoughts. I'm indispensable. They'd never manage if it wasn't for me. The world would fall apart if I wasn't here to sort it out. Or perhaps you have entirely different thoughts you find yourself wrestling with. We might think our thoughts are safely hidden away, but in fact they're not. For one thing, God knows what we're thinking. We learned this in Psalm 139, You perceive my thoughts from afar. There are several references in the Gospels to Jesus knowing what people were thinking when he encountered them. Also, what we think will translate into what we say and do. Our words and actions, whether good or bad, begin in our hearts with our thoughts. We hear more and more about the importance of mental health. Again, this has to do with the link between what we think and believe deep inside us and how we're able to face life day by day. So, what's the answer when we find ourselves wrestling with thoughts which we can't escape from, which may leave us with sorrow in our hearts like David was experiencing? First, as we've often seen before, we can cry out to God as David did, and we can cry out to him honestly. How long, Lord? Will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? There are some clues in the New Testament to how we can overcome thoughts that are dragging us down. Paul says in 2 Corinthians 10 verse 5, we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. I've never really understood what that verse means exactly, but maybe it's something like deciding to believe the truth instead of the unhelpful thought. For example, the thought that says, God has forgotten me, can be made obedient to the truth that says, I will never leave you or forsake you. The thought that says, I'm no good, can be made obedient to the truth that says, I'm made in God's image, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. The thought that says, I'm indispensable, can be made obedient to the truth that says I need to be humble and not proud. To win the battle of our thoughts, we need to keep telling our thoughts the truth over and over. Another clue in the New Testament about how to win battles with our thoughts or anything else is to put on the armour that God has provided for us, which we've been looking at on Sundays for the last few weeks. The belt of truth, we've already talked about the importance of truth, the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, to name just a few of them. You can listen in on Sundays to hear more of these and catch up on any you've missed on Facebook or YouTube. So what happens to David as he brings his prayer of desperation to God? At the end of the psalm, it's as if the sun has come out after a dark storm. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me. We don't know if anything changed in David's circumstances, but we can see the most important change has taken place, a change in his heart, in his thoughts, in his inmost being, replacing despair, hopelessness and darkness with trust, joy and praise. In the coming weeks there will likely be many more times when we cry out, "How long, Lord?" whether about the pandemic or other things. Let's bring these honest cries to God and allow him to make the most important change we need, a change in our hearts.